South African consumers' satisfaction with the life insurance industry declined for the second year in a row. This is according to the South African Customer Satisfaction Index released today. Life insurers were given a score of 75.7 out of 100. This is 2.7 points lower than the score recorded last year, which had declined on the previous year. To discuss this further, I'm joined by Professor Adré Schreuder, who is founder of the South African Customer Satisfaction Index. Thank you so much, Adré, for your time this evening. Is this us just not liking insurers, because it is a grudge purchase after all? Why do you think there has been this decline?
Well, I think first of all one needs to realize that customer satisfaction is based on expectations. And whenever there's a bit of a difficult economy, people are starting to cut back on certain expenses. Yeah. But with life insurance, this is almost buying, surety of mind for your loved ones, which means that they would be a little bit more reluctant to do so. But at the end of the day, expectations are influenced by things like economy.
Absolutely. All right, so how was this particular survey conducted?
The survey is conducted based on an international model. We align with the American Customer Satisfaction Index, which consists of 5 different components. The obvious first one is, as we just spoke about, expectations. Yeah. Then it's relative to that expectations. We measure the actual performance, their experience relative to that. We call it perceived quality. Right. Then another very important component is perceived value. So how much we pay and do we see this as fair? And then that would predict the SACSI score, the index score, that we compare internationally. And then there's 2 outcomes: the degree of problems and complaints, and then ultimately loyalty. Do we stay or do we go?
Yeah. So why have we seen this decline over the past 3 years?
It is not strange. We have found quite a bit of decline in a number of industries, and we see that expectations are rising. In this particular case, what we've seen is that the industry expectations are up, but we don't see the ability of the insurers to actually keep up with those expectations. Okay. And that's one of the major findings for this year.
Do you think that is a big part of those expectations being higher is that people are paying more attention to what they are offered by their insurers, and therefore they have higher expectations? So a little bit more financial literacy to a certain extent?
I think financial literacy plays a role. I think open society plays a role. Yeah. People are more informed about choice, which means they shop around a little bit more, and therefore they expect more. Yeah. And literally saying, well, I need better value for my money. And okay. that drives expectations. We also see some declines on perceived value. So expectations up and perceived value, so one can say, well, therefore perceived quality also low. Yeah. End result, satisfaction lower in the industry. So
what would you say are some of the general complaints or just concerns that consumers have?
Well, general concerns are, again, the principle of treating customers fairly, not understanding what is promised and not delivering on it at the end of the day. And that's one of the biggest gripes, that consumers then feel cheated. They feel done in.
Yes.
And we, in South Africa, we're still not good when it comes to handling customer complaints. The customer complaints are fairly high by international comparisons, whereas our overall satisfaction is not that bad. So that's one of the messages that I would leave for the industry. Let us try to see if we can work down the number of complaints. And there's a number of insurers that's done so. Yeah. I need to mention Liberty. Yeah. I need to mention Sanlam. Yeah. I need to mention the likes of Momentum, that's worked hard on the number of complaints, and what we see also, their complaints handling efficiency.
I see.
And that addresses these issues.
Was there any discrepancies between bigger and smaller in terms of the size of the insurance company?
What is interesting is that according to the International License Agreement, we only measure the big brands. So it's an 80-20 principle. So your smaller brands are measured in a category we call other. Okay. And this is for the first time that we find that your smaller bouquet insurers are not necessarily meeting those expectations, whereas in other industries we do find that. So in this particular case, they are lagging as the others, the smaller. But the bigger players, I'm still seeing Sanlam and Old Mutual leading. Yeah. They stay up there. Okay. But one that we need to mention that's actually showed quite a nice increase this year is Momentum.
Is Momentum, yeah. All right, we'll leave it there. Thanks for your time today, Professor Adré Schreuder, who is founder of the South African Customer Satisfaction Index.